Hey guys, what's going on? So again come up with a new video, and this time I will answer to your queries which you guys ask me on the comment section down below the various video. So you guys ask me the query on the comment section down below the various videos over the past 3, 4, 5, 6 months. So I now decided to answer your queries which you ask me on the comment section. So usually I don't reply to the queries. But in the recent videos I have said that I will make or give the answer to your queries which you ask me on the comment section. So this is the second video in a series. I have also issued one video in which I have answered your queries which you have asked me on the comment section down below the video of the export procedure. So this is our second video regarding the answer to your comment. So if you have also a query, then you can drop it on the comment section. If that would be cool, then I will make a separate video like this video. Alright guys, so we should start our query session. So first query is of the Praveen Chopra. So he want to ask like this: I get the service of transportation for trip of rupees 8,000 total in 1 year, in 1 month. Then the reverse charge is applicable or not? So he want to ask me the question that he went to some transportation. He used the service of transportation for the trip, and the amount is 8,000 rupees in a month, and he want to ask whether the reverse charge is applicable or not. So first of all, I'm assuming that transportation for trip is like the transportation of passenger services. So he used the transportation of passenger services in a month, and the aggregate is like 8,000 rupees, and he's saying that whether the reverse charge is applicable or not. So first of all, the transportation of passenger service is not listed out in the notification issued under section 9 subsection 3. So the 9 subsection 3 notification is for the transportation of goods by the GTA. So here it's the transportation of passengers, so therefore 9 subsection 3 provision will not be applicable, so he will not liable to pay reverse tax and the reverse charge. But if the service provider will be unregistered person, then he can be liable to pay tax and the reverse charge under 9 subsection 4. But before to figure out that whether he is liable to pay tax and the reverse charge, he should take into account some important factor. So it's not like that when you receive the 5,000 rupees exceeding goods or service from any unregistered person, then reverse charge would be applicable on you. So you have to first check out the exemption notification also. So in this case, like the transportation of passenger services, there is also notification regarding the exemption for transportation of passengers. So you have to also check out that exemption. So if you fall under the exemption, if your services which you receive is fall under the exemption, then even if you purchase or receive the service from the unregistered person, you will not be liable to pay tax and the reverse charge. So remember that it's not like a one single principle that when you receive goods or service from unregistered exceeding 5,000 rupees, then you have to pay tax and the reverse charge. No. You have to also check out the notification or the notification by way of which the government has exempted some goods or services. So when you receive some goods or services which is exempt under GST, then you will not be liable to pay tax under the reverse charge. So that is also one important point which you should remember before saying that yes, my service or goods is liable for payment under the reverse charge. So that is also a case. And then you have to now if suppose you receive service from unregistered and he is taxable, that service is taxable, and you have to also check out the list of rates of services, which is applicable on this service. So serial number 8 of notification number 11 is applicable on you, but in serial number 8 there is a lot of service category regarding the transportation of passenger. So because the fact of the case is not clear, so I cannot say about this, but I have drawn here the principle by way of which you can check out your liability for payment of tax under the reverse charge. Second question is of the Vishnu B. You want to ask, sir, how to show in GSTR 3B reverse charge related purchases, how it is claimed next month. So he want to ask how to show in 3B reverse charge related purchases. So first of all, the purchases is not to be shown in GSTR 3B, for your record. So there is no column in which you have to show the purchases in the GSTR 3B. You have to only give the eligible input tax credit for which you are liable to pay tax under reverse charge, and that is under column under table number A, sub table number 4, sub table A, then column number 3. So under 4A3 you have to give the detail of eligible input tax credit in case you are liable to pay tax under the reverse charges. But for the month of July, that column will be nil, because for the first month, because you know that under the GST or under the excise or service tax, in case of a reverse charge you have to pay the liability only by way of cash. So only by way of cash means that for the month of July you cannot take the input tax credit of the liability which you need to pay into the July month. So for the July month, that column will be nil, but after the July, like for the August month, you can fill the detail of eligible ITC which you paid previously, which you paid for the previous month, like for the July month you pay for August. So when you pay, then only the credit of liability for the reverse charge will be available to you guys. So for your record, for the July month, that will always be nil. For the August, you can fill data on it, the input tax rate which will be applicable or which you can take on those reverse charges. So that is just a point. And if you are talking about GSTR 1, 2 and 3, how to show the detail of ITC of the reverse charge. So in the GSTR 2 table number 4, you have to give the detail of inward supply on which you are liable to pay tax under reverse charge. So that detail will automatically populated into GSTR 3, and when you pay the tax under the GSTR 3, then the eligible input tax credit regarding the liability for reverse charge will be credit into electronic credit ledger. So it will move like this. You cannot take the credit into the same month in which there is a liable to pay tax under the reverse charge. So remember that. Next question is of the Ranjit Sahu. He want to ask, sir, I have paid service tax under reverse charge mechanism on July 2017 of the bill related to the June 2017. Please suggest how to calculate the credit in, how to take the credit in TRAN 1. So you know, because under the service tax also the reverse charge cases is like that. When you pay the tax, reverse charges, taxes on the actual payment basis, then only you can take the credit. So here is the question, like for the June month he paid the tax of reverse charge in July month. So now you know that because he paid the tax on the July month, so he can take the credit of reverse charge in July. But after or in the July, now the service tax is not there, only the GST is there. So how he can take the input tax credit of those which he paid in the July? So and you also know that when he pays the tax of the reverse charge in July, so it means that that credit is not reflecting in his return relating to the June 30th. So he can transfer the input tax credit relating to only the input tax which is there as on 30th June 2017. So now how he can take the input tax credit? So he cannot take the input tax credit of those one on which he paid the tax after the June. But he can refund, he can take the refund of the SANVAT credit under the service tax law, not in the GST Act. In the service tax law, he can take the refund of that tax which is paid on the July regarding the reverse charges cases. So that is also provided in section 142 subsection 3. There is clearly written that any refund of SANVAT credit will be disposed of in accordance with the earlier law. So he can take the credit. He can take the refund of the SANVAT credit which he paid on the July month for the liability of the reverse charge. So remember that, that's how it will work. Then next question of the Praveen Jain. I have received telephone bill, but the telecom company have not mentioned my GSTIN on bill. So which type of supply I should consider it? So it will be considered as a normal supply by the telecom company. It will not be like the exempt or the non-GST or the nil rated supply. It will be normal supply. But for your record, you cannot take the input tax credit of the telephone bill, because in the telephone bill there is nowhere written as the GSTIN of you. So how it's gonna process? Like when the telecom company will fill his GSTR1, so he will fill the detail because the GSTIN of you is not there in his bill, in the telecom company bill, so telecom company will consider it as a reverse, as a unregistered person, I think. So he will consider you as an unregistered person, and he will give the data of that invoice into the table which is relating to supply to unregistered person. So that how it's gonna work. He cannot mention your GSTIN on that particular GSTR1. Therefore, you cannot take the input tax credit of those in which there is a no GSTIN of your. So that's how it's gonna work. Next question is of the Neeraj Garg. I want to ask, सर ट्रेन 1 के टेबल 7D के वैल्यू बॉक्स में क्या फिल करना है, टोटल इनवॉइस वैल्यू या टैक्सेबल वैल्यू, प्लीज सजेस्ट. So TRAN 1, for the TRAN 1, the table number 7D is regarding the deemed credit which is available to you guys if you don't have the duty paying document for you, and that is also provided in section number 140 subsection 3 proviso. There is also rule for that, like 60-40% is something like that. So he want to ask in the table 7D of the GSTR1 of the TRAN 1, in the total value, in the value box, what we should write, invoice value or the taxable value. So for the column relating to the value of supply, for the the value column you have to give the detail of taxable value only, excluding the tax amount. Remember that only the taxable value should be mentioned in the value column, and in the tax paid column you have to mention a tax which is paid on the invoice. So that's how it's gonna work. Value column is only the taxable value, not the including of taxes. Next question is of the Sandeep Bhandari. He want to ask, sir, if I don't want to claim input tax credit or I don't have any input tax credit, in that cases should I fill the TRAN 1 and the TRAN 2? So just for your record, because you don't have any input tax credit or you don't have any input on the 30th June 2017, or you don't want to claim any input tax credit, so you should not file any TRAN 1 or TRAN 2 form, because that is only applicable for you if you want to transfer your input tax credit into the GST. If you don't want to claim or you don't have any input tax credit, so no need to fill TRAN 1, just like the GSTR 3B, which is mandatory to file even if you don't have any supply. That is not applicable for TRAN 1. TRAN 1 is not mandatory. If you don't have any input tax credit or you don't want to claim any input tax credit, then no need to fill TRAN 1 and TRAN 2 file. But GSTR 3B, you have to mandatorily fill it even if the supply is nil or zero. Next question is of the Samir. He want to ask, please explain non-GST inward supply. Can I show small expenses which are less than 5,000 per day, like tempo and tea, coffee, etc., and electricity, petrol and vehicle? So just for your record, I made a video yesterday regarding the non-GST and then exempt under section 11 and then nil rated supply. You can check it out. What is the meaning of non-GST supply? So for your answer that you are asking that small expenses below 5,000 rupees can be shown in non-GST. So no, the expenses which is below the 5,000 rupees on which you are exempted for paying tax under reverse charge to be shown under exempt column, so the small amount will be given in the exempt column, not in the non-GST. Remember that. And electricity, for your record, electricity is also exempt, and it is exempt as per serial number 25 of notification number 12. So remember that electricity is not the non-GST inward supply. It is the exempt under section 11. So you have to give the detail of electricity in exempt tab. And petrol and diesel and liquor for human consumption is the non-GST supply. So therefore non-GST is just 3 items: petrol, diesel or diesel product, and then the alcoholic liquor for human consumption. Only these. The small expenses would be like below 5,000 rupees on which you are not liable to pay tax under GST under reverse charge is the exempt supply. Then Ajay Agarwal want to ask, our company provide accounting and bookkeeping service to our UK client. Can we charge the IGST on invoice or not? This service is exempt in service tax return then it will be exempt in GST. So the last line, this service is exempt in service tax return, then it will be exempt in GST, is quite confusing. But he want to ask certain thing like he is supplying the bookkeeping services to the UK clients, then can we charge the IGST on invoice or not? So for your record, you have to first check out whether that service is export of service or not. For this you have to check out section 2 subsection 6 of IGST Act. But if you want to know about it, then I have made a video regarding the export of service under GST. You can check it out. I have given the full detail of export procedure, how to get the refund, and also what exactly is export of service under GST. You can check it out. And regarding whether we can charge the IGST on invoice or not, so in the invoice we have to mention the rate and the IGST amount as well as the taxable value amount. You have to mention the IGST component, how much IGST is there. But you should not charge the IGST from the client, because you can take the refund of the IGST, and you can also take the refund of the input tax credit used for exporting the service. So therefore you should not charge the IGST from the client. You can call the client that you don't need to pay that component, or you can write in the invoice like how much amount customer need to pay, so that there will be no any confusion left. So if that is export, then no need to charge IGST from the client, remember that. But you have to mention the IGST amount into the invoice, because that is in requirement of invoicing rule. Next question is of the Dipesh Jain. He want to ask, सर मैं एक कंपोजिशन डीलर हूं और मैंने जीएसटी में भी कंपोजिशन स्कीम ऑप्ट कर ली, और अब मैं कंपोजिशन स्कीम से रेगुलर में आना चाहता हूं, क्या ऐसा पॉसिबल है? तो यस, इट इज पॉसिबल एज पर रूल नंबर 6 सब रूल 3 ऑफ द कंपोजिशन रूल. यू कैन opt out of the composition scheme, but before opting out of the composition scheme you have to first submit the application in form GST CMP 04. You have to fill that form and submit it online. In the form you will mention here the date from which you want to get out of this scheme. So you have to write the date of getting out of the composition scheme. And then you can also take the input tax credit of the stock which is available on the date preceding the date from which you want to opt out of the composition scheme. So for taking the credit you have to fill the form GST ITC 01. Therein you have to mention a lot of things like stock detail is also there. You have to fill that form within the 30 days from the date you want to opt out from the composition scheme. So the date 30 days from the date which you fill in the form GST CMP 04. So that's how it's gonna process. First you have to fill the form GST CMP 04, and then you can also take the input tax credit of the stock which is available on the date preceding the date from which you want to opt out of the scheme. You have to fill that also form GST ITC 01 for this within 30 days from the date of opting out of the composition scheme. Next question is of the Praveen Jain. He want to ask, rate and weight differences का नोट विदाउट टैक्स रिवर्स के देते हैं तो वो कौन सी टाइप की आउटवर्ड सप्लाई होगी? So if there is a difference of rate and the weight differences, like the rate of that product, like rate is 41 but he charged 40, or there is a differences of weight in the product. So how it is gonna process? So for the variation of the rate of product as well as the rate of product, you have to give the credit note or the debit note as may be applicable on you. So when there is a decrement of from the tax invoice, then you have to issue the credit note. When there is the upward movement in the prices or in the value, then you have to issue debit note. So due to rate and weight differences, you have to issue the credit or debit note. In the credit or debit note, you have to mention like the taxable value and then rate also. You have to mention the rate of tax also and all the detail which is given in the invoicing rule. And it will not be supply, because it will be called as an amendment of the invoice. It will not be treated as a supply, because you are not supplying anything, you're just amending the detail which is given in the tax invoice originally. So that's how it's gonna process. Next question is over Satya Sai Sistla. Jai Sai Ram. Please explain compliance in GST related to sales made to SEZ area and about the input tax and the refund of tax paid. So supply to SEZ is also zero rated, and the tax paid at the time of export will be refunded. And if you want to opt for this one, where you don't need to pay tax at the time of export, because you want to opt for the bond or LUT method, then you can take the refund of the input tax credit, which is available in the electronic credit ledger. So the process is same like the export of goods or services. So if you want to know about the process of export or process of taking the refund, then you have to check out my other video where I have covered extensively in detail about the export. You can check it out. Same process is there for the sales to the SEZ unit. You can check it out. Next question is of the Shyam Agarwal. He want to ask, I have filed GSTR 3B and paid tax for the month of July and didn't claim ITC of June. Now what should I do? So you didn't claim the ITC of the June month. So now you can fill the TRAN 1 form within the 3 months from the date of introduction of GST, or up to 30th September 2017. You don't need to take any panic. You can fill out your TRAN 1 form and take the input tax credit which was there as on the 30th June 2017, and you can use that input tax credit for discharging the future output tax liability. So that's how it's going to process. And GSTR 3B cannot be revised, so therefore you can take the input tax credit which was there before the introduction of GST after filling the TRAN 1 form. Next question is of the M. Jain. He want to ask, supply of flat situated in Mathura to a registered person of Rajasthan. Supplier is unregistered. Whether RCM in IGST applicable, or supplier has to take registration, being compulsory registration in case of an interstate supply. So he want to ask, like one person is in one state, then other person is in the other state. Supplier is not registered under GST. He is selling the flat to some guy who is registered under GST, and then he want to ask that whether that person who are now the recipient need to pay tax under reverse charge, or he don't need to pay tax under reverse charge because the supplier is making interstate supply, so therefore he need to take compulsorily registration. So just for a record, first of all, the sale of flat is not a goods under GST. Goods is what is called as a movable property. So immovable property is outside the scope of GST. Simply selling the flat is not the GSTable. And secondly, then schedule 3 serial number 5 also clarifies this, that in case of a supply of land or the building, there is no GST on this. But suppose if that would be goods instead of immovable property like the flat, if that would be goods, then the supplier has to take the compulsorily registration under GST under section 2, under section 24 subclause number 1, because it is an interstate supply. So when the supplier makes the interstate supply, he need to compulsorily register under GST. So there will be no case in which the person who are unregistered under GST making the supply to a recipient who is outside that states, that question will not arise, because whenever the unregistered person will supply interstate supply, then in those cases the supplier need to take the compulsory registration under GST. So that situation will not happen. Next question is of Aman Talha. He want to ask, sir, I am a work contractor. I received an order for maintenance of a building. I purchased tiles, bricks, cement, etc. and repaired the building and raised a maintenance bill to the owner of building. Will I get the input tax credit on the input material purchase? So yes, you can take the input tax credit on the on the material purchase because you are a works contractor. And just for a record, the restriction which is available for the construction related work contract service is those guys who are not in the works contract business. So because you are itself a works contractor, so that restriction under section 17 subsection 5 clause number C and D will not be applicable on you. You can take the input tax credit of the input which you use for supplying the works contract service. But those person who are using your service, who are taking your services, who are taking your works contract services cannot take the input tax credit of the tax which you will charge to them. Because that guy, if that guy will not be works contractor, so he cannot take the input tax credit of the taxes which you charge on that invoices. Remember that because of the restriction given in section 17 subsection 5 clause number C and D. But if that person to whom you are supplying the works contract service will itself be a works contractor, then he can take the input tax rate. Remember that. Next question is of the Shatrughan Barik. He want to ask which tax should be paid in advance received. So if the nature of the future supply would be interstate, then you have to pay IGST on the advance received. But if the nature of the future supply would be in intrastate, then CGST plus SGST. That's how it's gonna work. Then Madhuri Birazdhar, she want to ask that, sir, in composition scheme, trader can pay tax monthly or quarterly after filing the return GSTR 4. So for your record, for the composition dealer, you have to furnish GSTR 4 instead of GSTR 1, 2, and 3. And you have to furnish that quarterly, not on the monthly basis, and you have to pay tax also on the quarterly basis. So tax as well as return filing is quarterly in case of a composition dealer, so you did not need to pay a penny. And then there is a 3 also comment which is really cool, which is the appreciating comment for me. So first one is of a Ramana Chala. He want to say me that, hi, you are unique, keep it up. So he said me that I am a unique person. So thank you for giving me such a nice compliment that I am a unique. So maybe I am a unique person, I don't know about it, but you guys are saying me unique, so it means that I may be a unique guy. So thank you, Ramana Challa. If you are watching it, then thank you from bottom of my heart, because your comment is really motivate me to make some more such video and to show you the different angle which you haven't seen till now, because the acting can also be possible in the field of education. So I love acting by the way. So I make the video because I want to learn acting. So acting can also be applied in the education, and education can also be fun with acting component. It's like a tadka to some dal, you can say something like this. So I want to say thank you for your appreciating comment. Next comment is of Nikita Khatri. She is saying, super video as usual, always very different and distinct it is. So thank you, Nikita, for appreciating me. So your comment is really cool, who also motivate me to make more such kind of a video. So both the comment of Ramana Challa and Nikita Khatri is on the video below, the things you should know before filing the GSTR 3B. So that video was really cool, which I thought extensively. Therefore they are just give me the compliment regarding that. Next one is our Sunil Verma. He is saying, dear Sherwan, I find your video very useful and very clear. The peculiar thing is that you quote relevant section of Act. I find it suitable for teaching my subordinate officers of UP VAT department. Thanks. Do such nice work and spread knowledge. So he is a UP VAT official, and he is making some kind of education also to his subordinate. So he watched my video and just tell the things which I said in the video to their subordinate, so that he can also educate a little bit about the GST. So it's really cool that you are really watching my video and you are complimenting me, and you are also educating your subordinate by way of my video. He's saying that I tell in the video regarding the relevant section of the GST, so that's how it's appreciable. So thank you, Sunil Verma, for for giving me such a nice compliment, and I appreciate that. At least you appreciate me, because a lot of guys just ask or see the video, they just means keep calm and just also think that yes, it's very nice video, but they don't say in the comment section. So thank you for all the 3 person who comment, and also a lot of people also comment, but their comment is like very nice video or something like it's nice video, just like a 2 word. So that was comment which is really cool and in complete sentence, for which I can also share you. So that's how it's gonna work. I will make another video which is regarding same, the comment, answer to your comment on the comment section. So that is just the 16 question. I will make another 16 or 18 question in the next video. So for that you have to wait for my next video. We will meet again next video. Till then, bye bye.